Okay, cool. Thanks, Jason. My name is Jacob. I'm an alcoholic. Um, Very pleased and grateful to be here tonight. Truly. Um, you know, it's been a long time coming that I finally d delved into service. I'm not a first-time winner. My sobriety date is August 14th, 2025. So that means I have 111 days today. And through the NECYPAA host committee, and the people that I met to get into that committee, to hear about it through groups in Manchester, like Precise Method group, Manchester Young People, which is my home group here in Manchester. We meet Sunday nights, 7 to 8:30. Um, However, this is about, the New England Conference of Young People in AA. I joined the committee a little over 2 months ago, and Jason here was one of the, if not the first person to give me a ride to the Dairy Friendship Center and to the Granite House. And hearing him speak and hearing his story, definitely kept me, going in those early and still early times where there's still fear, there's still a lot of self-centeredness and selfishness in my life that I display in my thinking and behavior. I'm working the steps with a sponsor. He has a sponsor. Um, all that good stuff aside, I mean, I'll just say that I've been a textbook alcoholic my whole life. I can see that now, but it took a long time. I entered the rooms through H&I in my first treatment center when I was 17, and I'm turning 24 next month. So finding young people groups and committees out here when I came up here to New Hampshire for a clean slate. I am in sober living. I'm still getting my life together, but AA has really, really held me up and taught me how to live, and I'm still learning how to live. But wow, I'm just so overcome with gratitude every day. Um, for the first time in sobriety, I can truly say I'm just so happy. Like, there's a conference literature from Britain called Just for Today. It's on the Everything AA app. I would have read it, but it's like eight little excerpts, and one of them is about how fellows folks are as happy as they make up their mind to be, and there are little blips about service. It took me a while, um, to because I'm in sober living, to get the freedom back to get involved in service. But as soon as that opportunity presented itself, I had to take it because at that point I had been reading through the chapters with my sponsor and I knew what I was dealing with, which is, untreated alcoholism. I definitely can see now in my whole life where I'm an alcoholic of a hopeless variety. And, groups that I've mentioned before, a lot of those home group members are also on NECI host committee. And I had the opportunity to go to NECYPAA this past weekend. It was my first conference ever, and that was the Connecticut State Young People in AA conference. And just, hands down, easily one of the best weekends of my life, if not the best. Seeing everybody on my host committee, just seeking to help people and spread the word and carry the message, the message that has saved my life every day. Even when I was in and out of the rooms, in rooms high, back home, or, in the last year that I spent ripping and running in North Carolina, just clawing for a minute of sobriety, you know, like the miracles, they happen every day. Like all these days in the chat, there are so many people, even here on the streets of Manchester, that can't get a minute clean. So, when I walk the streets now, I grew up around Philadelphia, so I've been that guy on the streets, and I just try to show those people grace. I'm not that I'm really able to show grace as well as, my higher power, but just trying to display empathy in and outside of the rooms, carrying what I get from a meeting out into the real world, even though I'm still working on becoming, a full tax-paying member of society. I'm in sober living, I'm in a treatment program, But AA is really my home. I go to therapy in groups, but like even the like my care team there knows like I've been in and out of treatment for so long. One of my biggest resentments is institutions. Like it's just so drilled into my head, that jadedness from the things that I've done in treatment, all the relapses, you know, and eventually like coming up here to New Hampshire, like with this whole motto in mind, like clean slate, clean slate. Like I know that geographical change can't necessarily, and it won't keep me sober, but knowing that I had a clean slate and an opportunity to like meet new fellows, I was so uncomfortable walking up to people in my first meetings, extending my hand. But now, like because of like committees like NECYPAA and my home group and a lot of the people that joined the Zoom just to support me tonight, like it's just unfathomable. It's indescribable. Like the fellowship that I have around me, at this point, one of my closest friends now is a guy who has within the same amount of week of like we are basically have the same amount of clean time, and he's in his first treatment center in a different part of Manchester. So, he sat next to me in the sobriety countdown Saturday night, this past Saturday night at Siski, and we stood together and just with what I told you about what it's been like for me trying to finally find some actual sobriety in my life. I totally broke down crying in front of the whole room, and you know is like the most raw I've been in front of that many people ever. And like as like a young man, like definitely have struggled with like trying to present hard. I'm from the Philadelphia area, so we call it rah-rah, or just being hard or whatever. Like I always like running the streets wanted to be like the guy with girls, the guy with money, the guy with substances and alcohol. Just but now like people just love me for who I am. Even when I first came and like I wasn't comfortable, like I wasn't really like necessarily being myself because I was so guarded and wanted to be liked. But just the fact that everybody on Necky host, like in particular, like I come into the Dairy Friendship Center now, and like this is my family, like I have family. As a matter of fact, like coming up on 4 months sober, my dad's in town right now from New Jersey. Like that's only because of this program and because of God, like truly, you know, and because of the people like in Necky, like they keep me close to God because I see my God working in their life, and it just radiates the room. Like I'm just so grateful, and even for like Zoom meetings like this. Um, I think I'm coming up on time. I'm not sure. Um, but I don't know. I haven't done too many speaking commitments, but I did want to say like just if you haven't given service a shot in AA, like even on Zoom, like the only time I've had anywhere close to a year was originally through Zoom during COVID. My first 6 months clean was through a Zoom home group back in like 2019, 2020. And then I was able, like, even in that short time, able to get an apartment back in Philly. And that was the thing, like, even looking back, like it doesn't really matter like why I thought I relapsed. It's just the fact that I stopped like having a home group in AA. Like I tried some meetings out in Philly, but I wasn't as willing because I got some things back in my life and I was still very sick. And I personally, I feel I will always be an alcoholic. I can even recover through the steps, and I will have to continue to go to meetings just for this alcoholic, because I can identify with every part of Bill's story, every personal story. I can identify with shares in meetings, like if people that are completely different of different cultural backgrounds and appearance and gender and age, and like in as far as like suggesting or whatever, like check out like a service committee or even just get in service at the home group level, like it has totally like started to heal like all of this like insecurity and like you know dare I say like my like selfish needs, because like of course I want to feel good and feel liked and loved in a group, but like even just being a co-chair, I can take a back seat and like hop in where I'm needed. Like when we did the hotel walkthrough, I'm taking notes. And like, our co-chair is like, hey, like, can somebody write this down? I'm right there. That gift of desperation is definitely still present in my life because it's been such a long road. Like I said, like 17 years old, like totally not wanting to be in treatment, still in complete denial about my like illness. And so like when I finally came to, like, and really like looked at my life and looked at like how I felt inside and how like now I can see how distant I was from God, and even still now, because I still have a lot of work to do in the steps. But just staying in the middle of that service group, reaching out to people every day by text, not because like, and at this point, it's not because like I'm fearful. I mean, yeah, I'm fearful. I'm an alcoholic, but I like these people. I love these people. Like they're my people. Like I came up here with nobody, but the few friends I have back home, childhood friends that I check in with that want they, like you might hear like, living amends, maybe not living amends. Like a lot of the people in my life know how bad I've been all this time. They just want to see me sober and happy. Like there's only so much I can do to fix that past. It's just time for me to move forward. And service really helps me do that because there's always like a new opportunity to help somebody, or just like I'm doing, like I'm trying to do now, like share my story and how it's helped me. Like even last night, like right here in this room in my sober living, I'm like, wow, like you're coming up on 4 months for the first time in a while. And I started to get emotional again, like, and when I'm like at host or I'm at my home group that same night, I'm not as like in my head or emotional, but I'm just like so like happy to like start to get to know some of these people that like speak regularly, or hand out chips or chair the meeting. Like even you here at 5D tonight, like it's cool to see people like Eldon, who's our hotel chair, like because he does a lot for our committee, like communicates with the hotel. It's a beautiful hotel, and it's like right here down the street. Like it's literally like a 2-minute walk from where I'm at right now. So like, like I get to look at it now as it's coming up and like get excited. When I joined the host committee, I pre-registered not knowing if I would make it to that day sober, but I did it anyways. I just bit the bullet and like just said, well, like it's like if I had to pick something out of the book, like to say, like you just as the book, it was in chapter 2, um, about enlarge. I want to get it right. I had it ready, but it's not ready anymore. But it's the enlarging the spiritual life. Like I need a spiritual solution in my life, and like while I work the steps, the fellowship and the service involvement is what's keeping me sober. Essentially, it's really just that simple for me. If you see me at PMG, you'll see like initially sat by the banner that says "Keep it simple," and there's a reason I gravitate towards that part of the room. Um, so yeah, I don't think I have much else to say. Thank you for having this meeting every night for people on Zoom, like to all the homebrew members here. Um, yeah, just that's all I got. Thanks for letting me share.